It's only the second week of January, and I already have a backlog of AI-related releases and announcements to share in videos, but the most current and most pressing is that OpenAI's GPT Store is now going live. But in my opinion, that's not the biggest change OpenAI has made this week that will impact business users. The changes they have made to their plans are pretty foundational to whether ChatGPT is a tool I would recommend at the top of the list for an AI assistant for your business needs. But before we dig into that, a quick introduction. My name is Nick DeCourcy. I'm the owner of Bright Ideas Agency, a digital transformation consulting company focused on the needs of smaller businesses. I'm also the author of Who's in the Copilot Seat, a guide for small business leaders on adopting AI. I help businesses around the world get more from their technology, and if you're interested in working with me or getting a copy of my book, there's more information and links in the video description. Since the release of OpenAI's price-on-application-only ChatGPT Enterprise last year, anyone with a business budget that generally falls into the "if you have to ask the price you can't afford it" category has not been able to benefit from the better data protection standards that license has afforded. It's been a little perplexing that you can literally pay Microsoft for any form of business-grade Microsoft 365 license, and they will provide you with access to Bing Chat Enterprise, now called Copilot, with its commercial data protection. This assures users that Microsoft does not retain or use the data you share or receive back from Copilot, and so it's completely safe to share your personal information or business data with the platform. Yet you can be paying OpenAI $20 per month for a ChatGPT Plus subscription, and you get no such guarantees. Yet there is an opt-out option that allows you to stop them using your data. Now, OpenAI has added a license between ChatGPT Plus and ChatGPT Enterprise, ChatGPT Team. It adds no data usage by default rather than as an opt-out, and a few other features to help you manage a team of accounts rather than individual accounts. One being the ability to share GPTs from the store we will cover next. You can get this at $25 per user per month with an annual commitment, or $30 per user per month, month to month, and there's a minimum of 2 seats. It's great that OpenAI has added this tier that can better fit the needs of smaller businesses wanting to gain benefit from AI. While Bing Chat or Copilot do use OpenAI's latest model, GPT-4, there is a distinct difference in the type and detail of responses you get from ChatGPT versus Bing Chat. This makes perfect sense, as one is a paid, dedicated service and the other is thrown in for free with your existing license. If you're able to access Copilot from Microsoft 365, then for Microsoft 365 users, I think that's the way to go. But for those wanting to maximise the benefit to their team of AI who have just been using Bing Chat, I think this new tier of ChatGPT might be great to try out. One caution though. We know that at some point Copilot for Microsoft 365 will come to their smaller business licenses, and my prediction is it'll be sooner rather than later. For Microsoft 365 users, this is going to be a more complete and helpful AI experience than ChatGPT in many respects. So by trying to lock you into that 1-year commitment that they don't require for ChatGPT Plus, OpenAI may just be trying to get ahead of you getting access to Copilot for Microsoft 365 for your small business. If you're interested in this just because you can't get Copilot yet, perhaps try month to month first, so you have the option of switching if Microsoft expands access soon. Before we jump into looking at the GPT Store, if you're finding this video useful, it would be great if you'd leave it a thumbs up to help it get in front of more interested people. And if you want to see more like this, please make sure you're subscribed. Thanks. Was it the idea of the GPT Store that got Sam Altman fired? We probably won't ever know. But regardless, after a wait of a couple of months, the GPT Store is now going live. What is the GPT Store? Well, the idea of the GPT Store is allow you to create and somewhat monetize specialist extensions of ChatGPT developed with a completely no to low code canvas. We've been able to create custom GPTs for a couple of months, and in their most basic form you can upload some specific grounding information and have ChatGPT use that for reference in its chat. Perhaps you're an author and you want to create a custom GPT of your work. I think this is a great idea for business use and aligns very nicely with the type of development you can do in Microsoft's Copilot Studio. But the store-based and revenue share model confuses me a little, as this is different to surfacing a bot or copilot for specific internal or external use by your own customers. To me, considering this capability is giving a very wide set of options for most types of data to be surfaced through ChatGPT requests to these custom GPTs, OpenAI's published policies around this are a little lackluster. I'm not really clear through this documentation who really ends up being the publisher of the content surfaced by the GPT, and how you could ever know whether it's the GPT builder or GPT-4's training data that is determining what you're seeing as a response to a request. The big question of our time for AI is, how is this working with copyrighted information? And I think this advance muddies the water even more. And for those who have been busily working on GPTs thinking that it'll deliver some big payday, I'm not sure this announcement really moves along that conversation either. There's the announced intention of doing some kind of revenue share based on interest, but this sounds a lot more like how YouTube rewards Shorts creators than how Apple rewards publishers in its App Store. For those unfamiliar with these two models, I really mean that my reading of this is that GPT creators will get pennies in most cases, but we'll see. I have to admit, I'm not terribly excited about this. I've played around with the GPT creation a little, and I think if you spend a lot of time testing and refining, then you can achieve a fair amount. But those who only want to spend a moderate effort are only ever going to get moderate results. There's nothing magic here. That said, I think it is a lot more user-friendly and accessible than the Copilot Studio if you're thinking about surfacing similar capabilities with Microsoft's tools, and for many that really will be important. If you watched my video about Copilot plugins earlier this week, you will have heard the concerns I raised that as soon as you start working with a third-party plugin, you also have to worry about what that plugin is doing with your data. The concerns with GPTs isn't exactly the same, as the way GPTs work means that any data you're sharing isn't necessarily being taken off of OpenAI's platform. I actually think the way that OpenAI has dealt with this issue is pretty slick, to be honest. Here in this example, I'm using the GPT code tutor from Khan Academy on a demo account. You'll see if I hover over here, it tells me that the publisher cannot see my chats, but the logical question is what can be seen and when. So if I head up to the GPT title, in this case Code Tutor, I can use the drop down to see its privacy settings, and in this case it has one location where it can make an external action, khanacademy.com, and it is set to ask before running that action by default. There's also a link to see the service's privacy policy here. So I can go ahead and make a request to the GPT that simply relies upon the data that's present on OpenAI's platform. I earlier got the GPT itself to suggest a couple of requests, so in this example I'm going to ask, I'm struggling to understand how recursion works in Python. Can you help me conceptualize it better? I'm trying to write a recursive function to calculate factorial numbers, and I'm not sure where to start. You can see that the GPT is able to answer that request without any action outside, so it just goes ahead and does so. But if we stop that, let's now make a request that will rely on that external action. In this case, I want to learn more about JavaScript basics, like variables and functions. Can you recommend a good Khan Academy course or video for beginners? In this case, it has to use an external action, and it gives me the ability to allow that action, to always allow it, or to decline it. I can also see specifically what data is going to be shared externally, so I know it's not sharing the whole chat. I think this is a great way of handling this, and the only thing I would potentially improve is to see a link to the privacy policy with the action request. There's a lot about this GPT Store thing I don't like, but in this, with allowing users to understand how their data is being shared off the platform, OpenAI has got it right. So I guess we'll watch this space as this develops. Will you be creating GPTs? Have you been using them? Will you be getting a ChatGPT team license for your organisation? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching through to the end. Until the next video, bye bye.